So far, we have picked up some gems on how to look after our cars and in so doing, look after ourselves. Bertus is back with some more tips, demystifying what is often a very complicated process, and that is the safety and maintenance of our car. We've covered how key maintenance is, how much is channeled through our braking system. Now we're going to get into what is actually happening in that system. Now, Bertus, one of the bits of jargon we hear all the time, brake fade. What exactly does that mean?
Brake fade is a condition that happens on a brake system where the excessive heat is actually induced on the friction material itself, resulting the friction material not to be able to do the decent stopping that it's supposed to do. You get three different types of brake fade. Green fade, which is normally occurs shortly after a set of new brake pads are fitted to a vehicle, and during the bedding in of those pads actually occur, as when the heat gets to a certain point and the friction material can't stop the vehicle anymore. I've prepared a set of brake pads that we've actually burned in to give you an idea of elevated temperatures on it. And you can actually see the paint is already starting to boil on that friction material. The other one that I've got over here, you can actually see the friction material fracturing and cracking. So by inducing heat on the friction material, you actually limit the lifespan of that friction material as well. The second one is a heat related fade that we talk about, where the system is driven to excessive temperatures, where the friction material glazes and also not being able to stop that vehicle in time. The third one is brake fluid fade, that normally occurs on vehicles that the brake fluid wasn't changed regularly. What happens is the brake fluid is contaminated with moisture, resulting in the brake fluid actually boiling in the lines or right behind the piston pot. So you don't have the efficient brake pedal feed to the calipers, ensuring that caliper to clamp down onto the disc itself.
So we now know that heat can play a major role. What causes this premature breakdown of the brake pads? What do drivers do that results in this?
There could be multiple reasons for the heat generated on the brake system itself. Sometimes it's something stupid like excessive braking, where people don't realize that they drive like that day in and day out, but excessive braking can actually elevate temperatures on the brake system itself. And sometimes it could be something small like the rear brakes aren't set up correctly on that vehicle, resulting in an abnormal amount of load loaded onto the front axle, resulting in the front brakes doing all the work. When they start doing all the work, the temperature starts shooting through the roof, and also affects the lifespan of that brake pad itself. Sometimes it could even be a set of calipers that's not serviced correctly, where a slide pin is sticky, resulting in a binding condition of the caliper.
Now, of course, these are all the last things that go through your mind when your brakes are actually fading, or worse yet, failing completely. In your experience, what should we be doing? What should be going through your mind?
That's very difficult to answer because every situation is different to another situation. Like traveling down to Durban, there's a couple of sand pits that's actually allocated for vehicles with runaway brakes that you can actually take out of the equation and the environment of other road users to minimize the opportunity of anybody getting hurt or getting anybody killed. So taking your vehicle into that sandpit will get your vehicle to a standstill. Sometimes it happens that you've got a complete brake failure on your vehicle. The first thing to do is try to remain calm. It sounds easy, but it's actually not easy. But you must remain calm to identify a spot where you can take yourself out of harm's way or oncoming traffic and out of the way of other road users. Try to use the gearbox to slow down the vehicle or even the handbrake under controlled conditions.
Now, you've given us some absolute gems so far. Any tips for today?
The biggest tip I can give any consumer out there is after fitting a set of brake pads, make sure that you bed the pads in correctly. It first of all is going to save you money because it's not going to wear prematurely. And also with the bedding in of a pad correctly, the brake performance is so much better compared to a pad that's not bedded in properly.
So look after the product and the product will look after you.
Definitely.
Bertus, thank you so much. I cannot believe how much there is to absorb when it comes to keeping ourselves safe, but it does rest on some very simple principles. Educate yourself and you're in control.